to another special edition of WION World of Cricket with me, Digvijay Singh. Now, as we build up to the World Cup, we aren't just looking at the 10 teams that are playing. We're also casting our gaze further. And we're trying to predict who will be the stars of this World Cup. I must admit, I can't predict the future, but the master of the mystic arts is here. He's not Dr. Strange, but he's a World Cup winning coach. The one and only Dav Watmore is with me on WION World of Cricket. Now, Dav, we're going to try and predict the future. These kind of predictions have a tendency to come back and make you look like a complete fool, for the sort of lack of a stronger word. I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
If you're going to pick 5, you're going to be ready if some of those don't work out. You're going to take a bit of the brickbats like Zach Johnson's US picks.
Well, it's all exciting to do that at this time of the tournament, but you're quite right. It could just turn around and bite you on the backside, and somebody totally out of the blue will come and score heavily and then come in the top 5.
You know, Dav, this is the golden age of batting. But when you talk about batting, I have to ask you about the 1996 World Cup. Because I remember growing up, 15 overs in a 50-over game meant you got about 50 for no loss, great start. Then came 1992, marked great batch. Then you had Sachin Tendulkar start to open the batting. Teams realized that you can sort of get runs up there. But you put in 2 aggressive openers for Sri Lanka at the 1996 World Cup. Yes. Romesh Kalubitharna along with Sanat Jayasuriya. And while they may not have got the big runs, what it did was it set the stage for Sri Lanka. It put fear in the minds of the bowlers. I remember Manoj Prabhakar never played for India again after the hammering he got here in Delhi. So how did that come about? Since we're talking batters and how batters can influence a World Cup.
Not just you, Diggy. A lot of people are interested to know how that came about. And I wish I could take credit for that. But the truth is that credit needs to go to our manager, Dulit Mendes, who, after 2 games against Australia and West Indies in the World Series in 95, 96, came up to me and said, how if we open with Romesh Kalubitharna? And I tell you, it was like a light going on in the dark room. It was so obvious when he said it that it was exciting, because young Romesh, although little in stature, was very talented and play shots. A lot of it in the air, but they were shots. They weren't slogs. And when he normally comes into bat at number 7, number 8, number 6, depending on the situation, he would hit it beautifully, but he would invariably be caught out in the deep where there's a lot of protection. Now we have an opportunity to see him play the same sort of shots with only 2 out. And it was incredible to watch, really. As you said, that they weren't, not that they were getting hundreds. He got 2 man of the matches in the next 2 games. And along with Sanath, we broke open the opposition. It just puts pressure against the opposition. And they, in Australia, had some decent bowlers, as West Indies did. But, you know, that was really the turning point. And we watered it, we fed it, we really nurtured that, you know, combination, but never once, I did all the team meetings, I know what was said, we never once said you have to go out there and score at 10 and over. Didn't happen. But my way of doing it was, I always said at the end of it, don't worry, we may be 2 for none.
And it happened against India in the semi-finals.
And the final to a lesser degree. But don't worry, look behind you. You've got 5 batsmen who are all capable of getting hundreds. That was my way of saying, don't worry, boys, go ahead and just go ahead.
Have a ball.
Enjoy it, yeah.
Okay. That sort of set the trend for this great batting revolution that we're seeing right now. You can't deny this is the golden age for batting, especially with the way the T20 game has grown. I mean, we were talking about Surya Kumar Yadav yesterday and sort of how he can hit the ball anywhere. A.B. de Villiers, the original Mr. 360. Yep. Do you think T20 is also influencing the way the ODI are being played, especially the last 15 overs? But the fact remains, the reason why not many are successful is because it can come off for 10 overs. But in a ODI game, there's a lot more space and ball, right? More balls, 300 balls to be precise. So is that why, we're going to look at your list, is that why when you thought of the 5, you've not picked dashers like, say, Asana Jayasuriya or a Kalu Vitharna. We're going to see that list, but just expand on this.
Well, yeah, that's true. And there's no doubt that T20 cricket in its shortest format has influenced the way, the 50-over games played, no question. Along with good surfaces, you're looking at scores well in excess of 300 now. And years ago, when you get a 300 score, you're pretty assured to win the game, but no longer. So, yes, we have that influence coming into the game, but you also need to want to sprint over the line, like the last 10 overs where, as I said earlier, the most intense part of the game. You need to be able to, go hard at it, knowing that you've got a few more wickets in the shed. Yeah. But there are teams, sadly, who, enter that intense part of the game with not too many wickets, and they limp over the line. So instead of, scoring at like 100 runs in the last 10, you'd be lucky to, to muster up 50 to 60 runs, and that's really not good enough.
Okay, so having said that, now let's look at Dav Watmore's prediction. Who are the 5 batters he thinks are going to influence this this ICC Cricket World Cup? Those numbers and those names are going to come up on our screens. There you go. Okay, these are the 5. You live by your sword, you also die by it. So we'll sort of look at where this is once we finish with the group stages. But these are the players he's picked. The top 5 batters by Dav Watmore. Virat Kohli from India, Steven Smith, Babar Azam from Pakistan, the captain, Kane Williamson, captain of New Zealand, Johnny Bairstow from England. When I look at this, Dav, that's 4 players in the classical mold, and Bairstow is a representative of this, the T20, the sort of the baseball generation.
With a slight difference.
Okay, with a slight difference.
With a slight difference, Johnny, yeah, I think.
Okay, talk us through this.
Yeah, there's no surprises really, is there? I'm sure when you ask a lot of people to name,
But I could ask you, why no Surya Kumar Yadav? Why no Harry Brook?
Well, I can tell you, with Sky, Surya Kumar Yadav, very, very good player and potentially can get a lot of runs also. But to me, his role could be slightly different. He's going to be batting a little bit lower in the order, and he'll be there to have an impact on the game. So whether he's putting the icing on the cake and sprinting across the line in the last 5 overs, creating his magic, as we all know he can do, then I think he's the time left for him to get all these runs, maybe not as much.
Does that explain why they're all top of the order?
Yeah, it is. That's right. You'll see that they're all top of the order players because you've got more time to do it. And in Bairstow's case, he is slightly different. And I close my eyes and I can visualise this guy batting, and he's very aggressive. But he's also aggressive with a straight bat. He intimidates. Other guys will intimidate, but they take a little bit longer to get into that intimidation mode.
Is he in the Sehwag mold?
Pretty much, but this guy...
More consistent?
Yeah, I think so, because he plays straighter, and the way if you just visualise him batting, he's very aggressive to come on the front foot towards you, and he puts pressure. They all put pressure on the opposition. This guy does it a little bit earlier, and I think if you're looking at his figures, I don't know whether you're going to put it up here or not, but boy, gee, 45.09, and he's striking at 103.92.
These are Bairstow's numbers. Let's bring up Bairstow's numbers on this, yeah.
Wonderful effort. I mean, he's been doing that for his county as well in Yorkshire for many years.
Okay, but the numbers I have say that this year he's got 3 games, that's it. But he's also coming back from that injury.
Yeah.
But those 3 games, he's a top scorer of 13. Yeah. Will the real Johnny Bairstow please stand up?
Don't worry.
He will?
Yeah, no problem. I'm very confident of that. There you go. So you're putting that little needle.
Yeah.
You're exposing me. But I look.
A bit of banter is always nice.
Numbers like this, I'm sure, don't lie. He's a very good player. We all know that.
Okay, let's start with Virat Kohli now. Let's look at Virat Kohli. You coached him when India won that under 19 world title in Malaysia in 2008. Since then, more than 25,000 international runs. Still got that hunger, as we can see. And he sort of rediscovered the appetite for those big runs which weren't coming. The last 1 year, Kohli's got some pretty good numbers under his belt.
Yeah, surely. I mean, what
Were you
else?
surprised when that drought happened? What, since
Not
2019
really, no.
till last
Everyone goes down a little bit, you know. But, you know, what more can you say that hasn't already been said about Virat Kohli? Particularly when he's chasing a score, you know. Not easy to do sometimes. Particularly when there's some wickets falling around you. But that guy, he just steers that team home. And not only can he find the boundary,
he
different
runs
options,
very well.
He's very physical in his approach. He can, you know, you turn ones into twos, you turn twos into threes, and he intimidates in that way as well. And if there's any verbals to be had, he's in there too, and that can be off-putting. Like Bairstow's off-putting to bowlers with his aggression, and Smith, will come to him in a minute, with his technique is off-putting. So too is Virat Kohli. You know, he's off-putting because of the way in which he attacks his batting. Very physical, very aggressive approach. Slightly different to Bairstow, but just as effective, if not more.
And I think the beauty of Virat, what we've seen especially in the Asia Cup, was there was that game against Pakistan, India off to a great start, but then he wasn't as fluent as KL Rahul. He was content playing second fiddle.
Yep.
The great Virat Kohli, content playing second fiddle, and he only accelerated towards the end. Is that also the hallmark of a good cricketer? You score the runs, or a great cricketer. You score the runs even when it's not as easy for you as it's for the batter at the other end.
Well, the short answer is yes. Obviously, he's a
No, but
great,
it's also humility,
no,
right?
well, that's true, because, you know, the smart cricketer will understand what's going on. There are days when your partner is doing it really easily. And no matter how good you are, you give that strike to your partner, it's his day. Because when that happens, the team does better, and you know at some point you'll be called upon to continue in that vein. And that's the hallmark of a great player.
Okay, you spoke about Kohli being aggressive. He's abrasive for sure. I'm getting in a golfing sort of perspective, a golfing analogy, because just the Ryder Cup's pretty much very fresh. It's a big event heading into the World Cup. Is the stage set for Virat Kohli to do a Rory McIlroy? Because Rory McIlroy entered the Ryder Cup with a lot to prove. Similar to Kohli, individually brilliant, too shy of Tendulkar's record for most centuries, most runs in this generation. Let's leave that aside. But his captaincy didn't end too well. Didn't win anything big as captain. Home World Cup, pumped up, getting the runs again. You think that's what he needs to do. He needs to sort of unleash his inner Rory, and sort of that spirit of his powers India over the line.
I think so. Again, short answer is yes. In Virat's case, he's got 4 years if he doesn't do it this time, but you know, that may be a little bit too long. Yeah. It may be a little bit too long. But in Rory McIlroy's case, the Ryder Cup is played a little bit more often than a 50-over World Cup. But no question, you know, Virat Kohli's got the ability to set it on fire, you know. And it wouldn't surprise anybody, really, if that happens. So, you know, if you're an Indian supporter, you'd be praying that happens.
Okay, from Virat to one of his great rivals, let's talk about Steven Smith. 2011, when he came to India for the World Cup, he was an all-rounder, a leg spinner who could bat a bit. Yeah. But he's sort of, the last 12 years, he's blossomed into one of these great batters. Not sure in the last sort of 4 years he's been this one-day giant like he has been in Test cricket.
Matches,
so why do you have him there?
Well, I think he has the ability to build himself up for these big tournaments. And despite, you know, his unusual technique, he's had wonderful success. And like most of these great players, you look at his eyes, you can tell. You look at a batsman's eyes, you can tell the focus there. And when you're focused and you really are committed with a lot of experience, it's going to happen. You know, it's a matter of when. It's not just, you know, if he has a good tournament. It's going to happen. So,
but do you also think that because Australia have Warner and Marsh to open with Head currently sidelined, that means that they're not going to get off to flyers every game? That means Smith comes in early, and his task is very simple: bat 40, the team plays around you.
Surely, and he's able to achieve that, to bat long. The Australian opening combination has also been fairly successful with a new one in there, Mitchell Marsh. So, you know, and these wickets, if they're flat, will be just right up their street, you know, particularly a guy like Marsh who can hit down the ground. But if the surfaces are a little bit slower and they take turn, now then it'll be a big question mark on whether they're able to, you know, negotiate that turn, maybe a little bit of bounce, and then still get a total that they can defend or even chase one. Because we saw in indoor they struggled a bit with the turn.
Yeah.
But I am assuming that the wickets will be pretty good.
Okay.
And in that case, you know, Smith he will shine. He'll come through.
Okay. The other one which I think you could get wrong, I'm needling you again. This is Kane Williamson. This is you're hoping that he's fully fit, right? Or else
he's the captain. He'll play, no question. You know, he batted in that practice match and got a 50 and retired. That's fine. I'm led to believe by you, Diggy, that he's not going to play the first game.
Yeah.
That's
the team. What the team said.
Yeah, that's another eight games to go though, and you know, he's another one of those guys. Look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. You know, this guy's just truly committed to, you know, getting a start. And when he gets a start, like the others, he bats long.
But Dav, he hasn't played competitive cricket since he injured himself
the operation.
On the 31st of March, I think 1st of April, right about there. And you may be the greatest player in the world, like we saw again, back to golf, like we saw with the Ryder Cup. That 5-week break is what Jordan Spieth said is the reason they didn't win. Europe hit them hard initially at the start. Is that a worry? Or you think that the great batters will sort of find a way out?
Great batters do that. I mean, you look at an example here with Shreyas Iyer. Now, he too has been out with a back injury for quite a while. Didn't take him long, did he? He came back and he's almost
4 or 5 games.
But he didn't. You know, he's back in it. You know, and so I don't think that it's going to handicap him at all. Class will come through.
And you think the hurt of 2019 is?
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing too. You know, he's another one of these guys that probably won't be around for the next 4 years, you know, to play in another World Cup. So he'll be really keen to...
That's back-to-back finals for New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly.
And they didn't lose the last one, to be very fair to them.
Exactly.
They didn't lose it on the cricket field.
They fly under the radar and teams still take them a bit lightly. You can't do that. You know, with players like Kane Williamson, you know, he's going to hurt you.
Okay. Now, we're in subcontinental conditions and we spoke about Kohli. So what about the other bloke from the other side of the border? He's the captain of Pakistan. Very classical player, sort of. If I don't include Saeed Anwar in there, because Saeed Anwar was left-handed, but Yusuf Yohana, later known as Mohammad Yusuf, classical batter. Talking of Babar Azam. But the pressure of captaincy.
Surely. And he's done it pretty well, although maybe the opposition in recent times has been a little bit, you know, inferior. So his figures are even better than Kohli. He's averaging 58.
Yeah, but against whom? Zimbabwe,
yeah, well, that's right.
Afghanistan.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, if you know, again, visualise his batting, beautiful to watch. He's upright. He can hit the ball beautifully on both sides of the wicket. And he's another one of these guys, you know, sometimes the camera gets a real close-up of the eyes. And you can tell, man, that guy he's got it. You know, when you see the determination and the focus and that inner confidence to bat, he's got it.
But does Babar Azam need a standout World Cup to be spoken of in the same breath as Kohli, Williamson, Steven Smith? Because he's been in the conversation for the last 4 or 5 years. But there's something which is stopping him taking it and reaching that level.
No, he still has,
and we're already seeing the next generation trying stepping up.
No, he has a little bit of a way to go yet. There's no question. But you know, all the signs are there. So this particular tournament
is it burdened by captaincy?
Well, we briefly chatted on that earlier. I think the short answer is yes as well. He needs the support. He needs the support from the senior players in that Pakistan team, because that's pretty important in that culture. But this tournament could be the turnaround for this guy, you know. And if he does that, then it'll help his captaincy also be a good positive knock-on effect.
Okay. So we've done 5 who, according to Dav Watmore, are going to sort of own this World Cup, but we're being nice to him as well. This is India. We love our guests. Atithi Devo Bhava is what they say. We've allowed him an insurance policy of 2 batters. And this is what he's gone with. He's gone with Shubman Gill, and you've gone with Heinrich Klaasen.
Yeah.
Now, Shubman Gill, again, you get a feeling once the generation above, that's the Kohli generation, moves out, Gill has already started to put his hand up and said, count me. I think Harry Brooks in there as well, the sort of way he's come in.
Yeah.
But for Gill, this World Cup is big because he's already the leading run scorer in international cricket this year. And he doesn't just butcher you, he can sort of kill you by just playing fantastic cricket, much like Babar Azam or the others that you mentioned, the Williamsons of the world. But he can murder you. If you remember, there was a 200 he got against New Zealand earlier this year.
He's averaging 66. You know, okay, he's only played, what has he played? 25, 35 games. 66. And
I think Hussey had, no, not Hussey, it was Bevan. Bevan and Hussey had those numbers.
Yeah, surely. And unlike Brooks, this guy's going to play. So he's going to be walking out to bat every game. So he's got an opportunity to bat long. And if he's doing anything like his numbers suggest, he's going to allow me that little extra leeway to bring him into the top echelon of batsmen. So,
but do you think he's still got room for improvement? Is still not the finished product?
Gill?
Yeah.
Surely, because that experience will get him through a few tougher assignments. At the moment, when wickets are flat and they're good, he's very good. But you just need to also be a little bit careful when you are you're facing deliveries which are, a little bit harder to bat, a little bit more...
Like we saw in the Asia Cup where Shaheen Shafridi got him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you need to overcome that. Get through the difficult period, and the experience will help you do that, But what we've seen so far, he's got all the ingredients. All the ingredients.
Okay. Another player who's sort of broken into our list, and that's also because of what he did against Australia. 174 of 83 balls. Heinrich Klaasen.
I don't know too much
AB
about
de Villiers reminded me of that.
Yeah, surely that.
But to do that to Australia?
Incredible feat. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously the wicket must have been good, but this guy here, 41 matches, and he's averaging, 41.3, but I think he's on the way up.
Yeah, it's on the way up.
This guy's on the way up. He's got 350s and 550s and 300s. So that a high score of 174 is a wonderful thing for him. And he also will be looking to have this World Cup as a stepping stone to something much bigger. Okay,
this is record in India. Okay, he's played highest of 74. But I think what could also work in Heinrich Klaasen's favour is he got a decent run in the IPL. And he got 100, which had the likes of Tendulkar, the great Sachin Tendulkar, AB de Villiers and Chris Gayle. All in all, because of the way he played that innings, it was a turning track, but he was adept at playing spin, soft hands, knew when to attack. And if he's in full flow, then South Africa are in the game.
Well, that's right.
But he needs to be sort of turning it on every other game. He needs to be consistent.
Along with Miller as well also. So South Africa was in my mind as one of 2 or 3 that can just squeeze in that 4th position. So, it'll revolve around Heinrich Klaasen, the way he's able to produce runs along with 1 or 2 others in that team. But certainly he's on the way up and is worthy of, recognising him in that group.
Okay, that's his insurance policy. Shubman Gill and Heinrich Klaasen. Dav Watmore, thank you so much for those insights. We're actually not finished. We'll come back sometime later and we'll tell you who he thinks are going to be the 5 top bowlers who are going to own this World Cup. We're also going to look at the 5 game changers. These are special editions of WION World of Cricket. If you love your cricket, if you love your World Cup experience, then this is where you need to tune in. Special shows on WIONnews.com and our digital properties. Plus, we'll also have Dav on our broadcast stream. But that's a story for another day. Signing off for now.